All right, good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, November 30th, 2021. It's the last day of the month of November and also the last day for that quarterly candle that we watched. Just to kind of quickly review what happened here yesterday, we had just around the open here. Let's see if we could scroll right into the open. We did have a little bit of a pullback, and then after that, got a pretty good little bullish run here right from about 8 a.m. Pacific all the way up into the highs of that day at 69 there. So pretty much a nice little 30-40 point push, and then kind of petered out towards the end of the day. And then in the overnight session here, you can see we've essentially retraced all of yesterday's price action. So from the highs of yesterday, we sold off essentially down to the low of the week, or the low from Friday. So we've retraced all that, and now we're kind of chopping around right in the middle of all of that price action. So let's go ahead and jump up to our ultra high time frames and see what they're saying here. We're gonna really scrutinize that quarterly once this actually closes tomorrow, so we'll skip over that. Monthly, again, still had a really strong bullish engulfing bar there. This new monthly candle came right up to the back end of the trend line. Again, pretty awesome that occurred and got this pretty strong pullback. And we do have what looks to be a bearish exhaustion pattern right now off the highs, so we'll have to continue to watch that. That also will be closing at the end of today. So we've got the monthly, the quarterly, both closing at the end of today. So we'll come back and revisit that. And then, of course, the weekly we've already talked about being that we did have the bearish divergence back when we made the all-time high at 47.1175. And then ever since then, been pretty wonky up in here, essentially, some bearish clues. But we did get that pullback. Remember, the day after Thanksgiving on Black Friday, or at least the morning before Black Friday, we got a really big sell-off in the market. So that could be all that all these bearish clues up top get. So we'll have to see. And then on our daily here, again, we did have the bearish signal off the all-time high, which kind of started the beginning of the sell-off. We did kind of bounce out when we had that bullish signal back on the 23rd. That led to a little bit of a push, but then again, last Friday we had the big sell-off, and now here we find ourselves just about at a 38% retracement of the whole push up from the October 1st low that we've emphasized for quite a while in the room here. So got that push out, pulled back just about to 38% retracement, and so far for 2 or 3 days here, you can see we're finding support right in that area. And interestingly enough, if you look, that swing high there back from October 26th happened to be 45.90. And as you can see, we're essentially kind of holding right there off of that previous all-time high back on October 26th. So we'll see this morning if they're able to continue to defend this level and try to push out of here. Keep in mind as well that right now, if we were to have our daily close, which remember we have all of today for this to develop and then close at the end of the day, so the picture could change. But if the bar was to close right now, we would have the argument for a bullish divergence off the low. So we'll watch this. I'm not going to put an arrow on the chart because it's not official just yet. But once this candle closes, if this looks the same, we will have that potential bullish signal. We'll just have to wait for that next daily candle to print and ideally, again, break up past the highs of that previous candle where we got the signal forming. So we'll see if that occurs. And then down on the 4-hour here, remember we had the bullish signal from the lows of Friday. And then now it looks like we have a bullish signal from our overnight low as well. And I don't think there's really a very strong bearish signal from the previous daily high on this 4-hour chart. So right now, our daily and our 4-hour not necessarily showing us much of a bearish signal from up top here. But we do have, again, a potential daily bullish signal, which by the end of the day, this might not be here. So just keep that in mind. And we have the 4-hour bullish signal. So we're starting to see a little bit more of a bullish argument off the lows right now. We are in, if you just step back and look, we are making lower highs and lower lows from this larger perspective. So we are in this kind of local downtrend, but we are getting more bullish signals off of the lows right now. So we're probably going to end up having to rely on that this morning. So on the 60-minute as well, we didn't get a bearish signal from the previous daily high. However, in the overnight session here, when we attempted to push up and test that level, we did get a bearish signal. And then after that bearish signal printed there at just about 6 p.m. Pacific, going into 7 p.m. Pacific, we essentially just sold off there. So pretty good little bearish signal on the 60-minute, which then was essentially a clue back all the way over here that we could get some type of correction. And sure enough, we sold off from 46.67 to 45.80-ish. So almost a 100-point sell-off there just in the overnight session. Looking right now, again, bullish signal from Friday's low, which kind of gave us our bullish argument going, helped build our case for the bulls going into yesterday's market. And this morning, we now have a bullish signal off of this pullback into 45.8875, which was yesterday's low. So when the market opened, I believe that was the Globex session opened right down over there. So that was the low of the Globex, and we got a nice bullish signal on the 60-minute down there. And right now, I think that there is a little bit of a bearish argument, and this actually has continued to develop here. So I'm going to have to redraw this. We have an argument here from that previous high for the bears as they're pushing right now. So we'll have to kind of watch that. Remember that as this RVI continues to push, this could just continue to go here. But what it needs to do is essentially price needs to break the highs of yesterday in order to really negate the bearish signal, which means we have 27.67. We have another 40 points, 40 plus points here to go before we would have that scenario play out. So we'll have to watch this on the 60-minute. But overall, it looks like we have agreement on the bullish signals from the lows with the 4 hours so far. So let's see if we get the same thing on the intermediate time frames here. Give me one moment. We'll jump over to the 30-minute. And again, so this is one of those situations where the low from the overnight session right here on RVI, the last time we were down in this area on price, you can see RVI definitely was higher up. So we did get this push lower on RVI, but the price is technically a little bit higher. So you can make the argument that we do have an agreement with the bullish signal off that low from the overnight session. And then we do have a pretty clear, nice local bullish divergence right off of that Friday low as well. So 30-minute also agreeing with those bullish signals, and not necessarily the strongest bearish arguments in this area or even from the overnight high. We did have a bearish signal in the overnight session around 18, but they've pushed through, right? So remember, the 60-minute was also showing some bearish signals, but they're continuing. If we bring it up real quickly here on the 60-minute, it looks like a bearish signal, but they're continuing to push right now. So it could be one of those situations where we don't want to necessarily rely on the counter signal in this bullish push, relying on the bearish signal. We might want to actually look for signals off lows on pullbacks for the expected continuation off all the bullish signals from the overnight low. And from the pullback, we did have some signals there. And then on the 10-minute, essentially more agreement. There was a nice local bullish divergence off the overnight low, which is really what I'd like to see from a divergence perspective here. And then, some other little signals interspersed. But the thing that's sticking out to me is 3 nice bullish 10-minute signals here in the local area. And now we are up from the lows around 03 to 27 for just about, or 28 for just about a 15-point push so far. And I would even argue not necessarily any type of bearish signal from the highs right now. We did have a little bearish divergence right here, but as you can see, we got a pullback. They held the eye level almost to the tick and are now pushing to higher highs, and we no longer have it. So, Not really going to worry about that. So this morning, I think I've essentially already built the case. We have a lot more bullish signals from the overnight low, from this area on the pullback from the low from yesterday, and then even in this local area since this most recent push. So this morning, if we can get through 29.25, which is 50% of the previous day, we are going to have continued faith in the bulls for now. If they have trouble getting through 29, or if they get through 29 a little bit, maybe come up into this area and fail and come back down lower, that's going to be a sign that we can't hold above 50% of the previous day, which would be somewhat of a bearish argument or a bearish clue for what could be coming. And then again, 0450 is that 50% of the previous 4 hour. If they get below that and can't get above it, even more of a bearish argument for the rest of the morning, until obviously the picture changes from there. So right now we would expect the break through 29, at least a test of the KP and the I level up here for a push to test the highs from yesterday. However, remember, even though that's what we expect, if something else starts to happen here, let's say right now we can't even get through the high of the overnight session and they start to really pull back and they can't hold 04, they can't hold the previous daily high, and they can't hold above the overnight low, then all those bearish signals from down here are negated, and we're going to have to consider some levels below us. And we will again discuss that with our members in the member section here. So those who are out on YouTube, hopefully you got a little bit of something out of this, and hopefully you have a great morning here, and we'll see you again on Wednesday morning. So take care.